No, that would be first.
All right, we're going to call this joint public hearing to order. I will start off by mentioning we are on camera, and anything that is spoken in this room is definitely picked up and broadcast. Notice is hereby given that the Village of Big Bend Planning Commission will hold a joint public hearing on October 23rd, 2025 at 7 p.m. at Village Hall. The purpose of this public hearing will be to receive public input on the following matters. Number one, BRT Services LLC, Andrew Smith and Demi Smith applicant, requesting a conditional use amendment and associated site plan and plan of operations to request to operate a trucking operations business. The property is generally located on the west side of Wind Drive, approximately 600 feet south of Edgewood Avenue at South 87, West 23130 Wind Drive, on approximately 2.98 acres, parcel TK BBV 2105030. If there are any public comments, please state your name and address and stand up and speak your piece, please.
I'll start. My name is Michael Bennett. My address is West 231 South 8770 Edgewood Court, Big Bend 53103. My wife and I have lived in our house on Edgewood Court in Big Bend for 32 years. BRT has been actively working on this site since March. No site plan, no plan of operations. Why, despite my repeated questions about it happening, wasn't allowed to continue. I was told by the planners in June that BRT would be fined $100 a day until they submitted their plans. Did that happen? The reason that BRT continued to do what they wanted to do on the property without permission was so they could come here tonight and have this committee approve what they have done. They're here tonight and have submitted their proposal with the thought that the Planning Commission will, in essence, look at the project and say, well, you have made such a change here, I guess we have to approve it now. They'll come here, in essence, to ask you to forgive all the things they have done to get this far on the property without your approval. They are not here to ask for permission. I asked that the committee to say just the opposite. You should have come here first, and before you bought the property, to see what we have to say about putting a 24-hour trucking operation in the area that borders residential homes. And regardless of what you have done here, this is the wrong place for this type of business. Deny that application. You shut them down. BRT is already advertising their 24/7 presence on this spot to drum up business. Again, without ever gaining approval for the business in this place. My neighbors and I are here to tell you that BRT does not belong on our lot lines. The noise, the early starts and late stops, the truck washing and drying, the rumbling trucks for hours on end can be tolerated in places where people leave their jobs and go home at the end of the day. We should not be forced to be woken up by rumbling trucks at 3 a.m., go to work at our jobs, come back home to more rumbling trucks, incessant power washing, gas blower drying, and these same trucks rumbling till 10 p.m. at night. Every time a truck starts on that property, my property values go down. This is happening to every home in close proximity to the trucking company, and a number of my neighbors are actively looking to move before this gets worse. And if this gets approved tonight, it will get worse, because the inaction that Andy Smith counted on this past summer made him believe that he can do what he wants, and he won't move to stop it. My neighbors and I have seen this. BRT has seen this. Now it's time for the village to step in and to stop this. If it does not happen, I hope the village of Big Bend is prepared to buy my property and a number of other properties at the fair market value from before BRT started to work on Wind Drive. I surely will not be able to sell my property for what it's worth if a prospective buyer steps out of the back door, hears the noise, and is told that the village of Big Bend let a trucking firm work adjacent to residential properties. He deposited the cost of our homes and a loss of the peace and quiet that was here previous to Andy Smith and BRT Trucking when making your decision. Several months ago, Copart Manufacturing came to us to consider a plan to put a parking lot full of damaged cars in an open field off of Guthrie Drive. We, of course, denied it as it did not belong in there. If Copart had just paid over the land and parked junk vehicles there without asking for our permission, would we have allowed it after the fact? That's what Andy Smith is asking you to do right now. I was asked to be part of the planning commission some 25 years ago, after the previous owner of the same property came to the commission and asked to build a machine shop on the same shared lot line we are discussing now. The owner showed up with a drawing of what he wanted to do on a napkin from the Shamrock Bar. His plan was to build a machine shop, and after it was done, submit his plan to the village. Obviously, that plan was denied, but it's likely why Andy Smith decided to make all these changes and come to us after it was mostly done with his plans. It was Dean Lebecki who came to us with that plan on the napkin, and it was Dean Lebecki who sold the property to Andy Smith and BRT Trucking. It was decided at that meeting 25 plus years ago that heavy industry should not be permitted next to residential properties. There needed to be a buffer to protect the resident. Trucking firms like this are exactly why this is brought up. One more thing. I work in the transportation business just like Andy Smith. I run 50 plus school buses in New Brunswick. We've been servicing the New Brunswick School District since 1989 and have been a driver, dispatcher, operations supervisor, and general manager since 2006. I mention this because in our operation, we no longer can wash our vehicles outside without a permit from the DNR. That permit states that all the water that we use to clean our buses must be captured and disposed of properly. I asked Ben Kola and Bridget Berry to check on this in regards to BRT's incessant washing of trucks without a proper permit and without following procedures that are required by law. When I did not get a response from Ben and Bridget, I contacted the DNR myself and confirmed with them that the laws about washing commercial vehicles and also the BRT was not adhering to those laws. They will be visiting the BRT soon. My wife and I have been here 32 years. Thank you.
I'd like to speak. I agree with what Mike Bennett is saying. My name is Nancy Dean. I live at South 88 West 23175 Wind Drive, Big Bend, and we have lived there since 1986. We have seen businesses do exactly what they're doing right now ever since. That is not the first business that has come in there, set up, and once they're running and going, then they come to the plan commission. Oh, sorry, we didn't know. And when I used to do fire inspections, I had both the owners and the renters admit to me that they were told, well, just get set up, get going, and once you're set up, then go and say, oh, I didn't know. That was so well known back then. This has been going on for years. Why this is such a surprise, I don't know. I really don't know. And for as all the things that have happened down by us, we had one company down there that was a fruit and vegetable business. They used to take literally the crates that the stuff came in and the rotten stuff, they'd literally layer it and they'd burn it and walk away, which was an illegal fire. You have to attend it. It has to be in a proper this festival. It's just unbelievable the stuff that they used to do. They finally, after years of doing this, got caught because the pile was almost as high as the building, and our chief had to be called down to witness it, and they got the police department to finally come down, and they fined them. The same business had outside storage, which they were supposed to screen. They didn't. Finally, they said, well, we've got all of this stuff, what are we supposed to do? So they went and they got the containers to put it in. Well, they were allowed 5. They got 10. They're still there. They've got stuff behind the fencing as well, but they were only supposed to be working till 6 p.m. They were supposed to allow them to start working at 6 a.m. They had reefer trucks too. They came in at 4:30. They'd let them run until 6. We didn't have police department 24-hour. We still don't. And they'd have to actually come and see it and then be told, you got to get out of here. Well, all they did was just tell them, we'll come back in a couple hours. Run around the village for a while. Or go park in the park and ride. Again, nothing ever happened to them. Nobody got fined. I mean, personally, I think if you have a business and you're renting it out, you should be responsible for telling them you need to go to the village first. You're not getting in the building. You're not going to come on the property until you get everything squared away with the village. Every single fire inspection has on it, you check to see if they have their certificate. If they don't, you write it down. Then that's supposed to be reported to the village. And again, same thing. Nothing happens. I guess I had a guy that actually did sandblasting when the neighbor, which was a business, was next to me before there was a house, which is now. And they sandblasted military vehicles with lead paint. Why? Because somebody else was offered the contract and said no way because it would be too costly for the cleanup. They were doing it out in the open. We videotaped it. We brought it down to the meeting. Nothing got done. Absolutely nothing. They did this for an entire week. They had one truck in there after another. Well, right now, BT on their website, they're in and running as of May of this year. They've got their work time period is 24/7. Well, you know what? You need to have both the business owner and the property owner, when there's a separate one, they both need to be fined. You both need to say, look, this is the way we do things down here. You're not going to be allowed to do this anymore. The only reason this gets away with it is because of the same thing gets told to them every single time some new business comes around. We used to have, I'm trying to think what that was. There was something they were no, I'm going to talk. It's my turn.
It is your turn, but we have to stay focused on BRT and the topic at hand.
It's all the businesses down there, including BRT. BRT shouldn't even be in there. But they're in there, and according to their website, they're up and running 24/7. Okay, it's the same thing. You have to know a little bit about the history of what's been going on and how this keeps happening over and over and over again. And somebody's got to address it. And that's why I'm bringing it forward. It needs to be addressed. I don't care if it's a decent business, but put a business that's supposed to be in there according to what you have down there. If you look at all 3 streets coming down onto Wind Drive, oh, it's on a hill. Well, guess what? Everything that's down there just echoes. You can hear the kids playing on the playground down in our area during the day. It's like I don't know, whatever. So it's just like, you know what? You have businesses next to residential. You do have to consider that. You have to consider everybody. Unfortunately, where we live, we have never been considered. And I think it's about time that the village gets going and starts to look at all of the issues and not just, oh, you didn't know, oh, okay, go ahead. Keep going, no problem. And that's how this keeps going. This isn't the first time somebody's come down here, and it's not gonna be the last if they continue to do this. And yes, it's the BRT, and it's all the other businesses that have come and gone, and some of them have still stayed. So guess what? It's the same thing. You're allowing it to happen by not finding them, by not telling them, look, this is the way it is. There should be no businesses going in until they have all the proper paperwork and procedures done. But the fact that they could be let in and do whatever they want to, well, you're allowing it to happen.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Betty Bridger. I live 2 blocks away from BRT on Brown Drive, West 232, South 8780 Brown. I can hear them very clearly in my backyard. I'm outside 2 o'clock in the morning because I can't sleep with my dogs during the summer, and somebody's out there revving around their trucks and leaving. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't imagine what these people are hearing. It's loud at my house. I can hear the pressure washing, I can hear the backups, I can hear whatever they're doing. I can see them from my dining room window. And you can hear pounding. 10 o'clock at night, they're pounding. And then my dogs are barking. That's not fair. We need quiet. It was a quiet area. I lived in my home for 35 years. It used to be quiet. It's not anymore. We can't allow this. It's a quiet neighborhood. It's peaceful. And we needed to go back that way, the way it was.
My name is Glenn Palmentier. I live on West 231, South 8790. I live right on the corner of Edgewood and Wynn. I'm going to make this short because I don't want to drag it all off. But we've been here almost 18 and a half years, and we had to deal with Associated Industries with Dean and the crap that we had to go through with that, because that's right in our backyard. I used to work nights. My wife would call me at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, "You gotta be kidding me. Dean's out there in his black Hummer, radio blaring, he's drunk behind the wheel." How do I know that? How did she know that? Because she went over there and confronted him. Startled the crap out of him. We put up with that crap then. I'm not gonna put up with it now. I understand you got a business, I don't fault anybody for wanting to have a business. But in our subdivision, my neighbors across the street could be talking, we can be talking, and I swear to God, it sounds like we're right next to each other. But from sun up to sundown, that's all you hear is the noise. Power washing, banging on stuff. I mean, granted, they did do some nice stuff. They replaced the crappy fence that kept getting put Band-Aids on to make it look good. The fence would fall into our yard. You know, Dean didn't do crap. They fixed it up. It looks nice, but you should have checked with the area first. Come over and talk to the people. The noise. I'm sorry. I'm just frustrated with this. We can't have this. It's a quiet neighborhood. It's just out of hand. And we're all older people. You know, something isn't done. I agree with Mike. Fair market value, my house.
Yes, sir.
I'm the owner of a property that's adjacent to those trucking companies, South 87, West 231, 35, 37 Edgewood. I use that property as my retirement. It's a rental property, and my tenants are complaining about noises starting at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're working, they're being interrupted. Right now, I do not have any family with children there, thank God, because these are all adults, but if there was a young family there, I'm afraid that I wouldn't be able to keep it very long because of the noise. The second thing is, these gentlemen mentioned the value of the property is going down because the word is going out around the community that it's a noisy environment. It never was that way. I owned that property for 55 years. I have lived there personally myself for the first 10 years, and I never experienced anything like these people are going through now.
state your name, sir, please? State your name, please. We didn't get your name.
My name is Gerald J. Butala. B is a boy, Utalla.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Sherry Lubecki, Lubeckee. We have a business across the street from them, South 88, West 23145, Wind Drive. I want to support this company. They've done nothing but improve property. They support the community. They help with the snow plowing. They help with everything. If things are needed, who does the village go to? They go to them. We have no problem with them. I feel sorry for the people that built a house next to the industrial park. The industrial park was there forever. And I'm not trying to push negativity, because I don't want to see negativity. I want to see positivity. I want to help these people and endorse them. That's what I have to say about them. They've been nothing but good neighbors.
Thank you. Leo?
Leo Thomas, my wife Cindy and I live on the corner of Edgewood and Edgewood. Big spruce trees, you know it. We live a distance from this business, and we are witnessing its noise and vibrations into the evening, into the night, on the weekends. They exist in a neighborhood, and they are not being neighborly. You must be a good neighbor in the village of Big Bend, or leave.
Thank you. Dan? Thank you.
My name is Danny Lang. I live at West 229, South 8380 Big Bend Drive. I'm actually a resident of the village of Vernon, former town of Vernon. I moved here in 1986, been here ever since. At that time, the area in question was part of an industrial area, which it still is. The Big Bend Lumber Company was in business, and a fruit tomato distributor was in this very building that BRT is occupying right now. It's been an industrial area as long as I have been here, which has been nearly 36 years, 35 years, and 30 years. But anyway, yes, there are houses on the west edge of the property. I have seen that BRT company has parked some empty van trailers end to end, obviously in an attempt to mitigate the noise pollution going into the residential area. BRT has already taken some steps to cut back on the noise. Maybe they would do more in the future. I, being a retired truck driver, 46 years of tractor trailer driving, I'm familiar with the business. Yes, they do run day and night, but the area has always been an industrial park, industrial area. DOT is across the road, machine shops down the road, car repair shop there, lots of shops in the area. So I am asking this Plan Commission to consider granting the conditional use permit and other permits to BRT Trucking so they can continue on their way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
What is the actual zoning that we are? 'Cause
I-1.
I'm to the north.
The
So
property is zoned I-1 industrial.
it's all industrial in there, including the residential?
No, the residential is residential.
What are the hours that, when it's industrial, what are the hours for noise?
I'll have to look at the noise ordinances.
I just looked it up. 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. There's a limit of 65 decibels, and 8 p.m. 7 a.m. to 60 decibels.
So, well, the thing is, okay, I'm on the south, my bedroom's on the south side of my house, and I'm directly north from it. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30, I'm waking up out of a dead sleep. And if I go to bed late, God help me, because I don't get any sleep. I can't get back to sleep because they're continuing during that time. Now, personally, I like the guys. I mean, they help me a lot in the wintertime as far as plowing out my driveway and stuff like that. But we've got to be able to sleep sometime. And then also, what about the groundwater? Is there washing of the vehicles affecting the groundwater? Those are my questions.
I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Deborah Side. And I'm South 87 West 23131 Edgewood Avenue.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pat Mecca, and I live at West 231 South 8740 Edgewood Court. I just wanted to say a few things. One is that when my folks moved and built a house, they ended up with an expressway in their backyard because that's the way Milwaukee did it. And then when I lived on my own for 5 years, I lived right off of the street, and it was noisy. So when I was looking for a house, I came to this neighborhood at many different times, and I'd roll down the windows and sit there to see if we get a quiet neighborhood. And that's what we got. The only thing I heard was the children at the playground, and that's a sweet sound. But we don't have that now. It's noisy. It stinks from the smoke that comes in, the beep, 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 beep of every truck that pulls in. That's very aggravating. And it wakes you up at 4 o'clock in the morning, because even if it's in winter and your house is buttoned up like crazy, you get woke up by those noises. And the smoke that comes through from when they're cleaning their engines. It's like we barbecue out there. This is our kitchen area. And you see this smoke by my neighbors, this white smoke coming through because somebody wanted to clean out their engine into somebody else's backyard. That's not right. Not right at all. And I'm hoping that this committee will be brave enough to do the right thing, because this is our homestead. This is where we live. This is not good. We've had this once with the village board, as I don't know your name.
My name is Nancy Dean.
Dean said, and this should not happen again. The village did say that time. We should have never put a noisy factory next to the neighborhood. Well, we are neighbors. We don't have an alley between us. We don't have a road between us. We are but next to that company. That's not right. So I'm expecting you guys to help us out. We've lived here a long time, 29 years, and you can hear all the other people that are living here 30 years and then some. We need your help to do the right thing. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Is there any kind of compromise we can all make?
Maybe we'll
But the
prepare-
thing I didn't think of was second and third shift, as far as people's work schedules. But that's what I'm hoping for, some kind of compromise.
I understand what you guys are going through, and I think we all do. I mean, I live right behind a grade school, and I get up for work at 4:30 in the morning, and most mornings I can hear the guys working at BRT, and I get home from work and I can hear them, until I go to bed. I'm a heavy sleeper. It doesn't give me any problems.
Yeah, I'm not.
I get that they make a lot of noise over there.
It's just a quiet community, but everything is amplified.
You
Just gotta see, you
can't,
gotta see from the,
you can't sit in your backyard and communicate with each other because the noise is so loud. We can't keep our windows open in the summer. How is that right for us?
You also have to take the topography into consideration. Also, we have 18-wheelers that keep crunching down the tunnels that go underneath the roads. The one that's by our corner constantly gets crushed down. It costs money to have that fixed over and over. We have such increased traffic, truck traffic, going through our subdivision. I mean, why is that right for us to have to put up with all of that? I mean, this subdivision is different. It's not like it's the other subdivision where you've got a huge berm, and I know people there that are still complaining about even living right next to there. And when that subdivision was first put in by Jack Wynn, he had the houses in there first, the businesses came next. And I'm sorry, but every single time we get a new business in there, and they're doing whatever they want to, and there's some good businesses down there. And I'm sorry, but we have a car mechanic that's down there. He's lived down there. He's been down there as long as we've been down there, and possibly more. He's always done, right by both his areas and ours. And there's other businesses that are down there have done a great job. Unfortunately, the businesses that are right up against us are the ones the ones doing the most against us being able to have a decent life down there. Even if you have all of your windows closed up, you're still hearing it. We still have these huge explosions that go off that literally shake your house. We have no idea. It's coming from the industrial area. We don't know who's doing it, and that's been for years. We don't mind having businesses down there, but be decent. Be a decent neighbor. Realize that you have a different situation. You don't have Milwaukee off the expressway where you can have, because they obviously from their website, they have 18-wheelers that go in and out of there. That's what they truck. They have to have repairs done. That's going to be 24/7 because they have to keep their trucks going all the time. When you look at all this is a 24/7 business, and they tout it as a 24/7 business. Well, down there, that's not a 24/7 area. And I just wish that this would be looked at, but not by one issue or another. It has to be the whole package.
Thank you. Anybody else have any additional comments? Yes.
Hi, I'm Karen Taddy. I live on W232 South 8775 Edgewood Court. My husband is up at 2:30 in the morning, or to leave to work by 3:30. They're already working. I'm up at 5. I can hear them working when I'm sitting outside having my morning cigarette. It's very loud. It's very disruptive. And as far as the runoff is concerned, I don't know about anybody else, but I have a well. What is seeping? I'm just saying, I know I have a well. What is seeping into our ground? Is it safe? I would imagine not. Look at the chemicals they probably use to clean these trucks. Restrictions, I think, should be put on them. If you're doing construction in a residential area, you cannot stop before 7 a.m. Why can't that be a regulation here? I mean, you guys are not losing your sleep. You're not losing the depreciation in your house values. We are. And there could be long-term effects by that water going into the ground. What are you going to do about it?
Thank you. Yes.
So, I'm Andy Smith. I'm the one that you guys held a question here. I live on S87 W22545 Edgewood Avenue. I've been a member of the community since 2011. I've lived here. I started my business in this area. I originally started on the other side of Industrial Park, and we moved over to Wind Drive currently. When I bought that property, the property is zoned industrial. It was already a trucking company to begin with. So at that time, we felt that it was a good fit for what we have. So we had bought the property. I came to the village at that time and talked to them about questions about what I was going to do. So the people that said that I didn't come here and ask, it's blatantly lies. I came here, I submitted paperwork, and my next door neighbor, Mike, submitted a bunch of information that wasn't correct, which made the village board question some things that was going on. At that time, I went and spent thousands and thousands of dollars that I didn't have to make sure the lies that this gentleman said was truthful. So I went through and it was proved that it was not what he said it was. The groundwater issue that you guys are talking about, this place already has a retainment system because it was a produce building. All water that's washed goes into a crack and it gets pumped out weekly. I have receipts to prove it. So the claim of I'm washing and putting chemicals into the area is not true. Everything gets washed into a separate bay all by itself. I don't want to be a pain in the community, but I also want to be a member of the community and help out wherever I can. I mean, I've never once said no to anybody in this. If anybody's asked me, I've always said yes. I mean, our hours aren't going to be 24 hours. We do emergency work for the state of Wisconsin, and sometimes we leave early. And it's not like it's an occurrence every day after day. But I do feel that in that area, like you guys have talked, it is like an echo chamber. But I get wrapped into everybody else. So whenever you hear a backup beeper, has anybody in here said DOT or limb walkers or the other landscape companies? No. You guys just point it right at me. But there's multiple times, and I have videos, where they're at 8 o'clock just hanging out talking, and there's backup beepers all over the place. And it's not for me. But I'm getting the blunt of all this. And it sucks because I am trying to be a respectful member and try to do the right thing. But at the same token, I got people pointing their fingers at me and saying that I'm doing all the bad, and I'm not. I mean, I would love to come to a compromise to figure this out. But I mean, at this point, I don't know what path to go forward. I mean, it's zone industrial. I'm following the rules that the industrial park lays by. I'm sorry, you guys own a house next to an industrial park. It's a real weird situation. I mean, this isn't something that happens all the time, and I don't want to be a nuisance, but I also spent a lot of time and to grow my business in this area to, pump money back into the community too. I mean, I don't know what else to say. But
If you're gonna call me a liar, please go right ahead. The fact is, everything I said is all the stuff that you're doing. And my neighbors will attest to that, by the way, every single one of them.
What emergency work do you do for the state?
So we do barrier wall. So when there's a crash or accident out on the freeway, especially with Milwaukee County, we have to go out and replace barrier wall if the wall is damaged at times.
Seawalls?
Yeah, crash cushion wall.
Thank you.
And it's all off-site. Nothing's on site. I make sure the guys back in every night. So if they do leave early, they're not backing up in the morning. They're just leaving.
And their lights are up against the fence. I see them every morning.
I mean, I see you putting up trailers back,
Excuse
trying
me,
to
Mr.
block
Chairman,
up,
Can I make a point? Everybody here has had an opportunity to speak. I want to be mindful of everyone's opportunity. I know there may be a follow-up question or a comment here and there, but I'd like to keep the conversation progressing forward with new comments and new folks as opposed to allowing
Go back and
previous.
forth.
Yeah, I mean, I still get Mr. Chairman. I also got to throw in my assistance with that, so we got to follow the rules to make sure we don't get beyond what the scope of the meeting needs to be.
Correct.
And actually, and on that nature, Michael Van Clunen, counsel for BRT services as well. We're just making it for the record.
Are there any other comments?
I'd like to say something. My name is Doug Brungy, own Martin's Automotive on Wind Drive there. The majority of the people here are my customers, they're all really good people. I feel for the situation. It's a tough one. It's a lose-lose. Or it's a tough situation, but we've been down at our site, our auto repair site, since the 80s. Over the years, there's been complaints for when Combined Purpose was there with their trucks running too early in the morning, and there was residents that had an issue with that. It came up, there was a resolution, they figured it out, they were together. Same thing happened when Huge Hall was there, and they had that, I think it was like a rock crushing machine or something, they were running over there, same thing. Little back and forth, came together, came to an agreement. So I am in support of what Andy's doing. He's been a great member of the community. He helps out with a lot of the events that occur. He's anybody that asks him for help, he says yes. And likewise, everyone deserves to, live where they live and enjoy their homestead. And he also deserves to support his family, support his employees, support his community. So it really should not be a lopsided situation. Really would like to see everybody come together and get something figured out here. I think we can do that as a community. So I just wanted to express my support for BRT and what they're doing.
Thank you.
Warren, can I say something else? Huge hall, your business. All the other businesses down there are working from 8 to 5. Not one of you is coming and going to say, I need to have 24/7. I need to have that. 8 to 5. You don't start up your trucks at 3 o'clock in the morning and let them run. You don't bring them back at 9 o'clock at night and wash them. And then dry them with a gas blower that makes more noise than you can possibly believe. And he can do what he wants if he wants to do it between 8 and 5. I think that's the compromise. Shut the gates at 8 o'clock or at 5 o'clock. Shut the gate and open the gates at 8, but not the rest of the time. We have to live. We have to live. I've been there 32 years. This is, it parks in my backyard. I can hear his guys talking about this, that, and the other thing. I got a 1-year-old grandchild. She can't sleep in the bedroom anymore. Come on. The compromise is he cuts his hours to 2 hours when we're not there, when I'm at work, and no weekends. You don't like the compromise? Tough, move. The fact is that we are there at that time. We have to live. I hate to say it, but it doesn't belong along that line. Not one of the other businesses was there. Not one was going all night long. Not Combined Produce, not the guy that was delivering, that was sorting clothes. None of them were going past 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. There was no trucking business there. What was there was a guy who sorted clothes, and Becky rented to him. That's what was there before, and it wasn't 24/7. He could attest to that too. He lives right next door.
Can I ask, did anybody suggest to them possibly going to the other industrial park where they have a larger area of facilities to work on trucks that size and they have trucks that size coming in and out as a better location than coming down by us where everything is small, cramped, and it does have other issues concerning it as far as open hours and everything, them knowing already that they advertise 24/7.
You're asking a guy to move his whole business?
No. This is before this is when they first come to the plan commission saying that they want to open up a business. This isn't after, they've been doing that for a long time, where they open it up, get all the money invested, and then it's like, I've got all this money invested now, can't we just work together and let's just get this going? I'm sorry, but we've had businesses down there that said that they're going to do one thing and they do the other. They've been restricted for hours. I have the one that used to be next door to mine. They were told close up your front doors. Well, they opened up the back doors again, and they were working past their hours of operation.
All right, thank you. Are there any other new comments? Are there any further comments? Third and final asking for comments at the public hearing. If there are no more comments, I will entertain a motion for the planning commission to adjourn their portion of the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
Motion carries. Village board. Hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But the noise.
Your office is in your neighborhood. Be
No wonder why she
Excuse me. We're going to call the planning commission meeting to order now. That was a roll call, but everybody's here. We'll open the floor for public comments. Public comments are for anything that is not on the agenda. If there are no public comments, we'll move along. Item 3, consideration and approval of minutes from September 22nd. Somebody forgot to do the minutes.
I didn't see any minutes, so I think
So I will get those to the clerk, hopefully tomorrow. My apologies. We're going to move along. I'm going to shuffle the agenda a little bit here. We're going to put item 4D first. Review, discussion, and possible recommendation of a conditional use permit request and associated site plan and plan of operations for occupancy out of existing structure and associated parking lot to operate a trucking terminal operations business. The property is generally located on the west side of Wayne Drive, approximately 600 feet south of Edgewood Avenue at South 87 West 23130 Wayne Drive, approximately 2.98 acres, parcel TK, DBV 2105030, owner Edgewood Land Holdings LLC. The property is zoned I-1 Light Industrial District. The property is 1.7 acres.
We're talking about two different properties, about 1.72 and 1.64 that are kind of being used together since that fence came down.
Okay.
So I think that's where the confusion was.
Gotcha. Thank you.
For sure.
I'll turn it over to you for a minute.
Yeah, I'll keep my comments brief. I think everyone at this point is relatively familiar with the site. It's an I-1 industrial zone property. Applicant is seeking to use it as that truck terminal, transportation land use on Wayne Drive. It is largely industrial area to the east, the north, and the south, with that residential immediately west of the property. Per the applicant's submittal, they are proposing about 20 employees. Hours of operation listed in the submittal on Monday through Friday, 4 a.m. to 1 a.m., Saturdays, 4 a.m. to midnight, and Sundays, 6 a.m. to midnight. And then it does note with the exception of emergency calls. The applicant has somewhat cleaned up the site. They did put that new fence on. I think that was referenced during the public hearing. They're anticipating about 30 pieces of equipment parked on the property, and approximately 14 trailers being parked there daily. There is some screening requirements required by the village code for an industrial adjacent to the residential. The fence largely does meet that requirement. We have a number of recommendations within the staff report for review should you choose to recommend approval. one thing that, again, you could evaluate further, as long as you have this substantial evidence during the conditional use, is reviewing the hours of operation. Is there anything further that you can do to mitigate noise that is impactful to the west? So those are some really things to consider. Is there are some additional changes that you could consider to better fit in if you so chose. So thoughts? And then you can answer any questions if you have them.
If I could just chime in on behalf of the applicant too, there were a few points in the planner's memo that we brought to answer some points that were unknown at the time the memo was written. For example, one of them is the striping. There's been a request to put striping down in the planner's memo. I have pictures from the applicant that the striping was done. If I can hand those for the record. Then I just had a whole host of just other items that I wanted to identify. There was also mention about having ADA parking striping done. The applicant will do that. That's not a problem. And we can, I'm sure, probably coordinate with staff to make sure that that satisfies what staff wants to see. That was a mention in the memo as well. There was a point also in the memo about screening on the western lot line, and then also it may have been inadvertent about also screening the northern lot line. And I think that the northern lot line is all industrial. It's only the western that's the residential. I think the code only requires residential side.
Yeah, and his report was just noting that there is already some screening that's there.
Oh, understood. Okay, all right. And then my final question was kind of to you as well, which you may have answered already. The way I read the code was that the fencing itself would qualify as screening currently. That there wouldn't have to be any added vegetation on top of that. There's already quite a bit that's existed there from what I can tell, just based on area of those huge trees that have been there for many years. So I just want to make that last point, and then the other point would be with regard to noise. The applicant is continuing to try to find ways to help mitigate the noise, including being as timely as possible with regard to vehicles exiting and entering the premises. You heard mentioned during the public hearing that vehicles are backing up at night with the intention that if they have to leave on emergency circumstances, which is really the main reasons why they would have to leave at an early hour, that those vehicles have already been backed in, so then they can just pull out directly to help release some of that noise. And he also mentioned that there's been attempts to put things in other trailers around the site to just try to bring down that noise as well. It's obviously it's an industrial park, so some of that noise may be generated elsewhere or could ricochet off of another building that's in the area. But there are continued efforts and attempts to try to mitigate the noise and reduce it as well for the neighbors. That's all I've got. I'm certainly here to answer some follow-up questions.
Please go.
Okay. I have just two comments on my review as well. The first one being that the drainage line is on pavement. It goes right through the middle of the site, kind of down through that south way out. So I just put a note that it's a condition for my approval to make sure that that remains unblocked at all times. I also have a comment in here about the WNR WNPDES permit for washing commercial vehicles, and if there's any washing going on outside ever, which seems to be,
It's inside.
We changed one of the bays into a wash bay because, like I said, the building was already set up for produce. Because when produce comes in, it's dirty and it always would leak out the back. So there was actually already a retainment system in that property. I cleaned it out, I fixed it, I put an oil trap in it, like the DNR spec says, and we have it pumped out once a week. All washing is done inside and contained inside. In the very beginning, we weren't set up, but there was very minimal things in there at that time. But now it's set up the way it is, and I also have pictures too of that swale because there's a well that pumps because the ground level is so low there, the water table is so high. It does pump water out into that parking lot a lot. But I got pictures from like 2005, 2002 that show that it's always got water going out there. So it's not from me, it's from the groundwater itself.
Okay, yeah, if you want to submit those pictures too, so we can have them on the record, that seems good. For anybody else who is worried about that statement, if any vehicle washing occurs outside, that is what requires the WDNR WNPES permit. If the owner wishes to wash commercial vehicles outside, on site, an application must be submitted and reviewed by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. The general permit, the long string of numbers, may apply. This is for outside washing activities for truck companies, and any inadherence, or there's a typo, any inadherence to this may be reported either to the village or the WDNR for review. That is what we could report if we were not washing inside.
If the planning commission wants to make a condition that only washing is allowed to occur inside that structure, that's certainly acceptable on that too. So that it could never, happen without further review. I get it. There's still other regulatory agencies there, but
yes. So there's a different permit for pumping out of a tank, which everybody has for like their septic on their own individual homes. So there has to be a permit to pump out that tank. I'm sure that if you do it every week, you're very used to that, following those rules that are written down. So I just want to make that clear to everybody.
Yeah, we have a licensed contractor coming to do it, so.
Yeah. Once a week's a lot, man.
Yeah, but I'm trying to make this right. Like, I'm not trying to do things wrong. I'm trying to make the things right, so.
How many gallons do you have pumped out per week?
It's only like 550, if that. We have a 250 or 2,050 gallon holding tank, and because we pump it so often, it's 550 gallons. And it's not much because everything we have is efficient washing, and we use biodegradable soap. I could drink it in front of you guys. I mean, this soap is made for the environment.
Who also made for it?
Stan Walters, and I also have Septics. They alternate weeks, so.
Okay, those are my only two comments on the application. If the commission has any questions about those comments, I'm here to answer. Or any other engineering questions. Did everybody get to see the pictures of the lot lines, or the parking lot?
Yep.
There's another question about Green Drive coming into there. What is that road rated for as far as the highway rating?
So that road I was not a part of that project, but recently redone, right? We had a new pavement come through. Previously, it was less asphalt than it was supposed to be for trucks, but I believe that they have upgraded it to the proper asphalt. They didn't do 5 inches of asphalt as per village ordinance.
They didn't do the industrial park. They only did the residential.
They did the residential side.
Yeah, residential side.
So I believe that when Mr. Wynn built this is all before I was born, so this is just based off some research I did. I knew when Mr. Wynn built that it was not to village standards, that there were not 5 inches of asphalt there.
There were no village standards at the time.
There were no village standards. Not built to today's village standards. That is my understanding. If roads that were not recently redone there, that is what I have read. However, I've not done any corings to prove that. That's my history lesson. It was paved with only 2, and I believe they went out of business before they could finish that area.
So where do we start discussion here then?
Well, let's start with this. This lot, parcel 2, connects to your original building and lot on the west side, correct?
Well, technically, yeah.
I mean, 2 separate lots, but
Yeah. My brother operates out of the.
they're going to be used as one similarly, or
No.
no?
Yeah. No, separate. That's my whole end goal was to. My brother wants to be on his own. I want to be it, but we're family and we like to help each other. So
Understood.
that's his and that's not. So ultimately, I thought this was a phenomenal idea, but.
And you're brother does similar business?
Yeah, my brother does grading and excavating, similar things.
Just not 24/7?
No, he's got 2 employees, but yeah, it's not 24/7.
Out of curiosity, what's the volume of those emergency calls? I know it's kind of sporadic or whatever.
It's not very often. I mean, honestly, the hours that are the main pain is like from 4 in the morning until 6. That's when the trucks are leaving, and I know that's starting the trucks up and leaving. But probably from 6:15 until 5 o'clock at night, there is no noise going on down there. The place is quiet. There's nothing going on because nobody's there. The place is vacant. My mechanics come in at 2 o'clock and they work inside. During the summer, obviously the doors would open when the weather was nice, but we have strict rules with all my employees that if it's 7 o'clock, doors are closed. I mean, I know the other businesses in the area, like DOT and I know Associated, they would have 11 o'clock, the doors are closed. I'm trying to mitigate as much noise as I possibly can because I understand my situation, but I also know that them guys coming back in the evening is from 4 o'clock till sometimes 8, 9 o'clock, depending on the job site that they're on. I mean, I wish I had a snow globe that I could say they're coming back at this exact time, but I can't. And our other thought was being down on Wind Drive was we live on Edgewood, and I know that road isn't made to hold up for the amount of truck traffic that goes around that thing daily. I figured Wind was a lot closer for truck traffic in my thought.
So there's a condition 12 in here about the doors being closed. It sounds like the applicant is saying they close them at 7, so you could move that from 11 to 7 as well if you so chose.
I'd rather keep it at 11, but
From what I understand, I'm able to talk but not vote, correct?
Correct.
Andy, you told everybody here that I was a liar about what is it? I gotta ask you a question. Do you have permission to operate out of that property right now?
what was the question?
Do you have permission to operate out of that property right now?
Ben said in the previous meeting
That we had approval.
that we had approval to go ahead and move in.
Then what are you here for tonight?
Okay, well, let's.
I'm on the planning commission. I'm permitted to talk to him.
Is that going to be the direction?
Yes.
of the chair?
Well, I don't want to back and forth. If you have a question, it's a
The question is, does he have permission to be operating since March on that property from the planning commission?
I think that's a question of a code interpretation, but I think we're here this evening to go ahead and move this conversation forward.
No, what we're here to find out is if he's going to call me a liar, I want to ask him.
Okay,
If he doesn't have
That's not what this meeting's for.
Look, I'm the one that is in the bullseye behind his trucks. I should have the right to question what he's doing over there and calling me names. The fact is that no matter what he does, I'm losing money on my house. You guys are going to buy it. We say yes then, and you guys are buying my house. I will get a lawyer just like he's got a lawyer, and we'll go through a sale.
I think I guess the question I have, because I'm just trying to think about the timeline here. So when they started operating out of the business, they were probably issued a conditional use permit, right? When they first moved in there?
No.
That's what this is for tonight, is the conditional use.
Right.
It's just to update the conditional.
So we're updating that.
Yes, there was already a conditional use permit on the property.
There's an occupancy.
And so I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to establish what did the original conditional use permit say when it was issued?
Can I actually answer that?
So I can just, like, where were we and where are we now?
It's a good question, because there actually is not a conditional use permit originally when this property was used as a trucking operation, the code at the time the village was interpreting the code as you need a site plan and plan of operation approval, which was obtained. In this instance, I don't know if it was internally or with the planner, that there was a recommendation that there needed to be a conditional use associated with it, and it was interpreted to be a transportation terminal. That's the actual CUP public hearing notice was for a transportation terminal. So that's why we ended up here with the conditional use hearing. I read the code a little differently because there's permitted uses for distribution, processing, things of that nature. There's a conditional use for operating after 7 p.m. and before 5 a.m. in the industrial district as well.
I understand that. I'm just, if we had an original if we had a permit, and then tonight's goal is to update that permit with what they're asking for, what I'm saying is, where is the original for us to review? What did the planning commission sit down to and agree with originally, and was approved and voted on by the planning
There's memos from Ben is where, that's all we have is memos.
Right, but we didn't vote on anything. And so I'm just trying to be right, not for Andy. Right. So then the complaint was, again, I'm looking at timelines. So what they're saying is we didn't have a conditional use permit, and then there's the complaints. I think the primary complaint we're dealing with is the noise, not so much the business, right? And then we have to determine the way it's zoned. What are the noise ordinances, and are we enforcing that, and was that part of the original continuing use permit? And if they're coming back to us now and saying we want to update that and we want to run like 4 to 1 or 4 to midnight every night, that's what we're considering. Am I right? But we got to see what was the original, what did we vote on the first time and approve for him to operate out of there?
You should have a copy of the original plan of operations site review plan back from June 24th, 25.
Okay.
You should have all that in
our packet.
Yeah, in your packet.
Okay.
With the original submittal and everything. When this all got submitted is when red flags are thrown up about drainage and I changed the grades, I did all this stuff, and then all of a sudden everything got thrown in there because people raised some questions that weren't questions, they were.
But since you've submitted a site plan that includes grades.
Correct. I've submitted everything. I've had the surveys done, the state surveys. I've had everything done.
All I can comment on is drainage, so I want to know that is looked at.
As of this moment, those permits are not legal, correct?
Which permits?
What he submitted has not been approved, correct?
I don't know.
That's what he's here for tonight, to have you guys approve it. What he has done since March has been without permits.
What happened in June?
So I'm trying to look at the agenda from June to see what was.
We never voted on it. Never once did we vote on it in this
Guys, is this what you're talking about right here? This is the new. I'm looking for the old one. This one.
That's the new one. That's the one in our packet.
That's the one in our packet. I don't see the old one.
Yeah, it's not in our packet.
Right. And that's, like I said, that's why. So any business that comes in, we review all those things, like the building and the sign out front and the lighting of the sign and the hours of operation and whether it has a dumpster and whether it has screening for the dumpster. And I'm just saying, if we did that originally, so you set good precedent, because I'm a precedent guy, like what did we do the first time and where are we at now, and are we consistent with the code? That's all it really comes down to, doesn't it?
When did you purchase it?
I don't believe we were approved.
It would have been the prior trucking company.
I think that's the problem.
That's what I was going to bring up. Because it was never under his name. It would have been the site had a site plan of operation from the previous business.
Right.
It's not transfer over to a new business.
Yep. And then he bought the property in February or whatever it was.
We didn't move in until August.
But it needs to be, when we say updated,
Site
we
plan
want it
of
to
operation or whatever you're doing to the property has to be approved.
Which is what led them filing in June to ultimately where we are today.
Because they would have come forward saying, hey, this is what we're looking to do, what do we need to do? Oh, this classifies as a CUG.
And then
which
I did. And in the process, in good faith.
Which I came to
before
every
we
meeting.
had the thing approved, you were doing updates to the property.
Yeah,
You were
because-
updating the property, but we didn't have an approval in place for operation, and that's correct.
Were there
That's
building
on us.
permits issued for?
And I would say some of that is bad on us. That
Yeah.
something fell through the cracks.
My question is, was there any building permits issued for any of this work that was done?
Everything was maintained, maintenance, painting, fence repairs, things along that line.
So the planning commission doesn't have the application?
Neither do
No, that's the application that led to us being here now today. There was
Okay,
no
we don't have a
prior
copy of that.
approval.
There's not one from before.
Oh, yeah, do you guys kind of?
They have that one.
It's not as a package.
No, that's the one from June 24th.
Well, and Bill won't.
Yeah, it's the submittal that started ultimately the process of the CUG.
Yeah.
He was asking for essentially when did the prior user get their site plan of operation?
Okay.
And are we talking about updating from that, what that prior user got plan of operation approval for versus what you're doing?
Understood, yeah.
Mike, correctly.
Correct, because what you have there then with the original permit is probably some kind of compromise with the business running related to the residents around, right? As far as the noise and the hours of operation and, like he's put in a better fence since then and things like that. He's addressed you know what I mean? But I just like from a timeline standpoint, what was the original, what was approved, now he wants to change. I don't think the problem is with the business so much as it's just trying to figure out the noise. And then, Tom, you talked a little bit about I-1 and what the decibel, what the ordinance is.
Yeah, and then
If it truly is 65 decibels from 7 a.m. to 9,
7 a.m. to 9 p.m. it was 65, and then you come to 7 a.m. it was 68. I couldn't find it in the exact ordinance. I was digging, I'm looking in the nuisance code and writing in the nuisance, but the smells and the sound is in the nuisance ordinance.
There's some stuff in the zoning I was trying to look at the same time.
Yeah, sure. It's hard to search on the phone versus the computer screen. But that seems to be the biggest concern from everybody that spoke was the sound and the noise. And I understand, pressure washers and leaf blowers washing trucks, those things are 100 decibels. And that's definitely over that limit as far as what is permitted in the village. And it could be anybody can operate any business.
After we had a confrontation with a neighbor, my guys don't leave blow after 7 o'clock.
But it's still above the permitted.
No, it's 92 decibels during the business hours.
Don't worry about it.
I don't know if we have any kind of readings that's in the record that suggest that decibels are exceeding the property line either. Which, we are in conditional use review, and we gotta have substantial evidence to prove that exists. I just want to make that point.
so if we don't have the original permit and we've made improvements to the property and he's serving in good faith and he's being a good member of the community, I think if we're gonna resolve, and it's just my opinion, but I think if we're gonna resolve this, I think we gotta look at what is the biggest problem, and that is how do we figure out to get some kind of compromise with the noise? And I would say, from the planning commission standpoint, we would look at the hours of operation versus the residencies, and how does that apply to what we already have on the books for noise? If it says we can only make X amount of noise from 7 to 9, and we have to enforce that, or they have to petition to change that. And we would have to come back and approve that. And then we're going to have a hornet's nest again of people saying, hey, you're going to let them make noise till 1 in the morning, right?
That's part of the conditional use. Mr. Chairman, can I just
Yes, please.
As I've been doing research and kind of looking through this entire thing, we have 2 separate properties, is my understanding. First, the property, the old Gaffney property, taking some of us way back, ain't that right, Greg? Is where they're operating currently, correct?
No.
No. So
No.
who's operating?
They're operating on
That's
the
his
old
brother.
combined produce property, on LeBecky's property.
So that's parcel 2?
Those,
Yes.
I'm looking at
The Gaffney property is owned by his brother. His brother's operating out of that.
So,
And it's actually not owned by his brother, it's owned by Doug Runge. His property, the property he owns, is the Lepecki property.
so it's old.
Compliance Roads, yes.
But what we have in front of us, because this is going to end up at the village board regardless. It's okay, Mr. Chairman. I would just want to.
Yeah.
So I'm
Going to clear that air for sure.
Correct.
There's confusion.
What business then is specifically running out of that top property? It's a trucking company. It's been a trucking company. It was approved as a trucking company. So we're looking right now at two separate businesses, or are we looking at one separate business?
It should be one. It should be parcel 2, correct?
Just parcel 2.
But then why in this plan of operation and this, what do you call it, we're describing two properties?
He doesn't own both properties.
We're only applying for the 7.
You read off two parcels.
It was I have to review the drainage, and it was my understanding that that's where all the water goes. So I was looking at the drainage path all the way south to the end.
But the description you gave was for two different parcels.
The description I have, yeah, I looked at both of them, it's
Yeah.
true. I looked at both.
Yeah. But if you look at, like the memo, sorry. Yeah, the memo, I mean, it calls out the one parcel, which is the 50, ending in 5030. 5030 is what I was calling parcel 2.
The more northern one?
No, that's the
southern
southern
one.
The northern one's not in question. That's
Correct, and that's what we're making
what
sure we
everybody- that's
clarify.
what- This is how this all got crazy back in June. Is the north one? I don't want to touch anything on the north because my brother Justin Williams and myself, we leased that property from Doug. Now, as I bought the property to the south, my brother wants to take over the lease completely by Doug.
So then he's going to have to get his own separate plan of
Yeah.
operation then for that parcel. If there is a current plan of operation for that northern parcel, then that northern parcel, we should have something on file of the plan of operation for that northern parcel, correct?
Right.
We should, but that's not part of this,
Okay.
right?
Right, but it seems like somehow this second parcel has been running BRT partially out of it as well, or not.
You just use it to turn the trucks around, right? Or
Right.
drive them through.
They're completely separate.
The trucks, you're saying that the site that you're operating out of never has trucks leave it and go through the other side?
Which, you use northern and southern, so.
Our southern property that we're talking about right here, we never have trucks that leave that site and go through the north one.
We tend not to, no.
Tend, or does it not happen? It's a simple yes or no question.
But there's things that we could do, like, there's sometimes agreements between landowners where we say, you have permission to drive through this. I'm not saying that immediately.
True, but
gets
what
rejected.
Jeannie's getting at is we need that documentation to support what's happening, right? That's what he's asking for.
I'm not trying to be a pain in the ass. I'm just trying to.
We're trying to clarify what each property is being used for, what approvals have been given, if any, for each one, so that we understand, that balance.
Yeah.
And again, so I'm looking through your attorney or lawyer gave me the packet from June, which is, again, that's what started this whole process, right? With all of you've been here, as you said, numerous times, getting consultative feedback is what I would call it from the planning to say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do with this property. What do I need to do to the property to help make that work? And that's what this has been up until today, I guess,
Correct.
to the CUG request. But we, as a planning commission, never said start operating your business out of that site. If you claim that Ben gave you that approval through email, we need to chase that down because it's never been on the agenda to vote on and give you that approval because that's what the CUG is. If you don't have a site plan of operations, which you don't, because the previous property owner did, and you are going through that process, and when did we do our code change? How many years ago? 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Reclarification of the
Yeah,
zoning.
about 5 years ago.
And we had changed light industrial to say, hey, trucking can be here, but it's now a CUG request. It's not a standard use. So that was done before your time there, right? So, and I'm just trying to clear the air and get facts on the table. We'll hopefully can work this out and come to a common ground, but we definitely need facts and not anything else.
We wouldn't have it on record so it's been operated as a trucking terminal from the previous people who operated it.
Sure, but again, that was however long ago, and it's under a different person, and it was under a site plan of operations, which our code doesn't even support that anymore, because we changed the code 4 years ago.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, when it was operated under the previous company in the same area, next to the same houses, what do we know or have any kind of information what the previous planning commission supported for operations, or did it not need it in the past? Did they just move in and run?
Would have had to know a time frame of when that went in to be able to
Right.
see.
Now, I'm going to back up. Are we talking about the north parcel or the south parcel?
Just the south.
Stand by.
Because I see the online records go back to somewhere around 96 for the south.
Yeah, so point being, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
And again, we had to go back through the code because it hadn't been touched in over a decade.
Well, and I think that's really the kind of the sticking point here, is because you've got residents that have been there for, I think just about everybody who talked tonight says I've been here for 30 plus years.
For the length of that.
Correct. So they've been here since that operation, and again, we have a business, it is operating, he's operating in good faith, he's made improvements to the property. The one lady, whoever it was, even admitted that it was nice, right? So,
I don't think anybody's claiming that he hasn't tried to do better.
So I think we just gotta, hopefully we can find a compromise on the noise. That's really what I think we're here to do. And if we can work that out.
And you know, with noise, it's kind of, what's noisy to one person, you might not be as noisy to the other person. I mean, unless you have some kind of a decibel reading, who's to say just because they're loud that they're breaking this?
In our noise ordinance, we do have the decibels.
Exactly, but
so,
unless somebody
it
has...
It could be run to make sure that it's being operated.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, otherwise, just saying that it's loud doesn't mean nothing until we...
This is the original staff report for Justin Wilms, Andy Smith, Wilms Trucking Service, and BR Trucking Services, respectively.
This is for parcel 2.
This is for parcel 1. I'm working on getting parcel 2.
I doubt that there's anything for parcel 2. Dean Lebecki didn't put anything in, you know that.
So this is for the north parcel.
Correct. Which, again, this isn't the CUG is not for this parcel one, but it's to clear the air on it. It's being multi-use.
The north one would be a jumping off point.
Right.
How long ago was this, just out of curiosity?
2018.
So the top right.
That's when she did her staff report, so
Got it.
it's going to be in that same ballpark.
I guess the thing that really makes my mind spin in a circle is we've been with my brother and myself. Originally, we were on the north parcel. We've been there for 7 years now. And all of a sudden, it's just blown completely crazy. And I think there's one person that's driving us a certain
You're damn right.
direction.
You're damn right.
And I just feel
You're 50 feet from my back door. You and I talked about this. Your answer to me was, this is my property, I'll do whatever the hell I want.
Gentlemen, this argumenting stuff is going to end, and I'm going to end it.
It's not conducive to this at all.
It's not productive, and it doesn't serve a purpose right now. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
This is the meeting minutes from that same meeting.
So we had a plan of operation. Last for that property was Lebecki's back in July 28th of 2016. 2016 is what I've got here in regards to the last thing that was brought before the planning commission way back when. We have had several other businesses, as you can see. Current property of what they're looking at is 1.72 acres, correct, Bridget?
South southern property?
Yes.
Yes, 1.72. The northern one is the 1.63 or 4.
So Operation Green was the name of the company then. So that property then was the last operation in there.
So if a trucking company went in there afterwards, there was not a plan of operation, he sounds like?
It doesn't sound like it, no.
Operation Green got kicked out when I bought it.
Oh, so
And
that was the
how long
last
have you
operation.
owned it?
I bought it in February.
So that's as long as they've been in there. So they've been operating off that plan of operation for that long. At that time, the property, time of operation, 8 foot fall. We talked about the fence.
What did it list a use on it?
That's what I'm looking for right now.
Collecting and recycling used clothes.
Yes, textile recycling collecting clothes. They were open from 4 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. approved. And then Saturdays and Sundays, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Based on a holding tank. Again, the type of business versus what it was.
Could you just reread those hours of operation so I can write it down?
Why don't I just hand it to you and you can copy it down yourself?
Okay. Thank you, sir. I called you the village historian this evening.
Well, everyone's giving their years of time in the village. Mine's 57, so. They're trying to come to a resolution in regards to everything. I know, Mr. Chairman, I realize I just sit on the village board and I'm not a member of this committee, but I'm just trying to help out to make things a little bit smoother for everyone so everybody can come to a decent resolution. My concern, and I'm trying to make sense of it all, and as the hearing was going on, I was listening to the residents and everybody making their comments. Like I said, this is going to end up in the village board's lap. And it's going to be up to the village board to make that final determination. I'm just trying to make sure that our I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and that anything that is done is in the best interest of the community as a whole.
Thank you. I appreciate yours and the clerk's efforts tonight.
And she deserves all the credit wherever she is.
Thank you, Kate.
I won't tell everyone I would offer to give her a kiss for what she done.
Oh,
You know I'm right here, right?
He doesn't care.
So actually, it sounds like this would be an improvement from the past operation with regard to business hours on business days. It's positive.
Hours, yes, but type of business is different. So that's what I've got so far, Mr. Chairman, in regards to what was in there previously based on hours. I'm just trying to getting that we're dealing with the one property and that we're not all of a sudden going to have two properties that are operating the same out of the same business. And if that's the case, that's going to come to pass, then we have two separate issues that are going to have to be addressed by this commission on that. So
I will update my memo and resubmit just for clarification's sake.
And then also I agree with what Trustee Renner said in regards to if there's a memo out there from Ben that basically is giving permission for this.
I don't think that was my understanding. I thought that our determination in June was that we needed a site plan in order to approve anything.
And that's what was submitted. But I
Not
don't know
now.
why, I don't know why it didn't end up on the agenda faster, but that's, it's that now it's in the past. I mean, we're here now, right? Here's what it is.
Well, the property's been operating, stuff has been going on there, at least as far back as from my emails that I checked back as far as March, from what I've got, so. That's where we started receiving some complaints. because I have the police department right now looking, they are doing a research in regards to how many noise and stuff complaints we've gotten in the back.
It's our position that the applicant moved in August of this year. End of August.
But we've had complaints prior to that.
I don't know if those are
Right,
complaints.
Jamie?
Yes.
Okay, so we've established that they've,
Complaints-
timeline.
Respectfully, is it complaints to the industrial park, complaints to STBRT operating on the southern parcel? Because that's what I think is an important distinction here. And we also don't have actually any evidence in the record that suggests there was actually an operation going on before August.
This will throw confusion in and put BRT operated out of that north lot until August, right?
Correct.
If you live there, you're not gonna know which lot that sound's coming from, it's just coming from that direction, you know? I mean, the lots touch.
Right.
Can it be established when they took the fence down between the two properties?
What does that have to do with anything?
Because that's when you started working on the second property.
It took-
Yes, you did.
I don't think, the satellite image was current enough to,
Google Earth and have it out.
not that short of a
Yeah.
distance in time.
So we've got a request for conditional use. They've been operating out of there. You gotta consider the noise. What is I-1 zoned for? What is, I guess I said, like, what is allowed, is I-1 considered to be a 24/7 area, or does that have limitations?
No, so I can read you the zone, because I pulled it up. I was trying to remember what it was.
Yeah, like, let's have our facts around here.
So the I-1 Light Industrial District for permitted, I'm not going to go through permitted uses. We already know that this falls under the CUG. So
Right.
the conditional uses that we had changed in the code years ago is for transportation terminals, auto body repair, and any permitted non-residential use with operating/open hours that include the period of time between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. So what that's saying is anything after 7 p.m., between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m., no matter what the business is, makes it be a conditional use request. It wouldn't fall into the permitted.
That is exactly what it says.
So I wanted to double check it too, because I was trying to remember the code, but
So you can do 24/7, you have to come get permission.
you'd have to get permission.
That's what I'm, yeah.
That's
what I'm
essentially what that's saying.
It basically, it's an option, and you would come before the planning commission, and so that's what I'm saying, did we ever do that?
That's what they're here for today.
Okay.
Yeah, we had not given them that permission yet. As a planning commission and board, technically.
Right.
Could I ask a clarifying question then? Because it says any permitted non-residential use, the trucking business is the permitted use. It becomes a conditional use by virtue of the hours of operation. Technically?
So I think in this instance, what the planner had looked at was two things. The transportation terminal is a conditional use and the hours of operation are both a conditional use.
Yeah, the permitted uses, trucking company is not in that
a
list.
permitted use.
So both reasons would trigger the need or the requirement of a conditional use. I'll rattle off the permitted uses for I-1 since that's what it's zoned. Light manufacturing, fabrication, wholesaling, processing, distribution, printing and publication, and adult-oriented establishments. And lastly, there's two more. Research and development, and then trade and contractors' offices with accessory shop and or fully screened or enclosed materials, vehicle, and equipment storage space. So nowhere in there is trucking type of establishment is in the permitted use.
Distribution?
I would say that's a vague way to say trucking, but that's my interpretation too.
What are we distributing?
Yeah. Well,
Processing?
What are you processing?
You have trucks that are leaving the site. If you're distributing, aren't you taking something and distributing it off-site? Truck?
Yeah. You're distributing the truck.
I think the
You're
planner,
taking a truck and distributing materials.
I think the planner correctly interpreted as transportation here at
Okay,
all.
I mean, that's beside the point. None of these terms are also defined, so we can keep going. Just clarifying one more.
So again, it would be our job to look at the permit that was submitted by the applicant, and based on the whole situation, decide if we're gonna let him run those hours of operation.
That was on the table tonight, basically.
Correct.
And sure, there's obviously a lot of
There is.
behind
Correct.
ammunition, facts, comments, all that jazz leading up to it. But we have presented what we would require from any business to get a CUP.
Correct.
Is the black and white of it.
Just a comment, I noticed in the other property, just talking about what was discussed when they approved the other property, and it was noted here that Mr. Smith had stated that they would turn off backup alarms if it was on his issue. Is that
There's an issue with that. There's a federal standard that you can't shut them off. Because if someone shuts them off and never turns them back on, and you back over someone on a job. So originally we did have everything on shut-offs, and then we had an incident where a guy almost got crushed on a job site. And then that's when the federal government had, with all the trucking rules, you can't have it on a switch. My hands are tied. My hands
I
are
believe
tied.
the state will not allow you on a project with an inoperative backup.
Yeah, my hands are tied on that.
Correct. Correct.
So I've been in commercial vehicles, we had that. It would disable that. For those
We have.
operators, yeah.
Yeah, we have.
PRT is still, as far as I know, listed to operate out of that north lot. Per 2018.
That would make sense, because again, when you would have left, what you say in August, it's not like they came back and changed their site plan of operation to pull BRT out of it.
Right.
So that would be a legitimate fact.
So if we deny this, he can still run everything out of that north lot. Cramped, twice as busy.
Like it's fully compromised.
It is.
Andy?
But
That's a question.
he's been running that business out of there for 7 years.
That's what I'm saying. Is the plan of operation for that
Support what
north
he's
lot
doing
support
today.
what he's doing today?
Yeah, he's grown, obviously.
That's
compared to
that's
what
the point I'm trying to make here in regards to some of that, Warren, is that northern lot, that's fine. If he gets denied, and that, he still has to abide what the plan of operation for that property up there is, if he's still gonna operate based off of what I came up and
Yeah, there's no hours of operation.
right.
Yeah, there's.
I mean, we would have to do some more digging and whatever else to kind of come up with. Not everything was in there that should have been in there. Even with the True Green or Operation Green, even in theirs, it says here for their plan of operation and their site plan that semi-truck shall not service or idle on the property between the hours of 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. daily. All sorting / transfer or other related work shall be limited to indoor activity only with building doors closed to attenuate for noise from the hours of 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. daily.
It was quiet.
They talked about green space, fence on the west boundary being fixed at that time, so, I mean, as much as he's been doing with everything, you know, that's kind of what got, you know, I shouldn't say kind of, that's what was approved back in 2016 originally.
I think some of this stuff we're talking about, we're kind of getting off the task at hand of what we're really trying to accomplish here. And at this point, it's starting to get confusing of what are we here for? You know, we know what we're here for, but we're not getting to it.
I think the one thing I'm wondering about is if we allow him to work the hours that he wants to work, but the noise ordinance says you can't make that much noise during those other hours, we're not upholding the code as it's written. Right? If it says you can't have over 65 decibels in I-1 after 9 p.m., and we're going to let them run till 1 in the morning.
Yeah, but again,
that's
not like we can have
Who's enforcing
measuring.
Well,
I was going to ask.
That's what I'm saying. Who's going to enforce it? Well, you know who's going to enforce it? The people who come here and complain. That's who's going to enforce it. We're not going to have the noise police driving around, right? But again, we do have to consider the rules we already have on the books. If it says that the decibel noise in I-1, and again, I'm going off of what you said,
Yeah,
you know.
that goes based on the rules.
But I mean, it's, you know.
What did you say was, Andy?
What's that?
The decibels for
The 72, and then it's 92 after or before a certain time. They can't spike over that.
But also add that the code states what the code states, so that if you grant the conditional use permit this evening, and it turns out that there's a violation of the code, whether it's noise, or what, let's say he expands his use beyond what was allowed by the CUP, or he changes his use beyond what was allowed by the CUP, that would be grounds for a possible revocation process, and there's a procedure that statute provides for how to do that. It's a public hearing, it's the same old notice, opportunity to be heard, and it's a review at that point in time. He has to abide by the code based on what it states. So if there's proof after the fact that he doesn't, there's a way to address that. And he knows that.
So far, the only thing I can find, this is the zoning code, and it is not specific to districts, says noise. No activity in any district shall produce a sound level outside its premises that exceeds the following. And the highest end is 72 decibels. All noise shall be muffled or otherwise controlled to not become objectionable due to intermittent duration, beat frequency, impulse character, periodic character, or shrillness. Sirens, whistles, bells, which are maintained and utilized solely to serve public purposes, are exempt from these sound level standards. It's the only thing I've been able to find so far in the code anywhere related to noise.
It's really wrapped in. It took a long time. I wish I would have printed it off, but there's a section in there that shows the time period that noise decimals can be. I did go out and purchase noise decibel readers, and I will put them on the fence line. But I don't want to. I wasn't going to suggest that until somebody else did. But I did spend $2,000 on these noise decimal readers, and I've been running them before this meeting happened. They're not. I can't come here legally and tell you what it is, but the loudest decimal past 8 o'clock was 72. And when we had this conversation before, there was a lady that spoke. I can hear my neighbor across the street talk. Correct, but what's the decimal at? You know, you can. It sounds like I'm being just cold on it, but you can hear. We can hear in this conversation now. Is this loud in here, or you know, it's hard in that area. We can hear all kinds of noises, but is it above what the decibels are? And I haven't gotten any readings at above that. But I can't legally put that out there because I'm not I bought these things offline, and this is what they're getting. They record 24 hours a day, and I haven't seen anything above it. I mean, I'm not trying to be a bad person. I'm trying to do this right. That's why I put the sound trailers to mitigate. I bought new trailers, licensed them, did everything I can. I mean, who goes and spends that kind of stuff just to try to make things right?
I think the planner could comment on this as well. If the applicant's provided information that he's got decibel readers at the property line that indicate 72 or less, there isn't any evidence that's been presented this evening that shows that there's been a violation. And The commission is familiar with the CUP process. You've got to have substantial evidence, and it can't be based on speculation. So anything here this evening that's been provided that's not, frankly, what the applicant just provided is speculation because there isn't any quantitative data. And frankly, you could honestly take his remarks to some point, be it a speculatory remark.
This is also a recommending body not making the final decision. Substantial evidence can be done during the final approval of the village board.
Also,
so this body is making a recommendation
correct,
to the
yeah.
village board.
We only recommend to the
Yes,
select
absolutely,
board.
yeah.
So discussion tonight can still lead to substantial evidence if evidence can be brought during the final decision. So it's not like the end all be all if no substantial evidence is done right now here tonight. This
So-
isn't final approval.
So there just can be evidence that's just slowly provided all the way until this final approval. Is that what you're suggesting?
The village board has the opportunity to make recommendations, conditions, and evidence during their final decision.
Correct.
That is
Based on the record that's been presented.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So
Yes.
after tonight's, there could be, if somebody wanted to provide evidence of noise, they could. But you're right, it has to be substantial evidence. But this body is not the final decision making on that. So just because it's not presented tonight, it doesn't mean
Right, but
it couldn't be done.
the CUP doesn't mean everything that is delivered and that under CUP has to be formally approved, or I should say be approved. It can be changed in committee or at the village board where they're looking at everything. Just because this is what's being presented as the property owner's option doesn't mean it can't be amended or changed by the commission or the village board.
Understood. The statute says if you meet the terms of the ordinance, you get the CUP.
If you're willing to meet reasonable conditions.
Those reasonable conditions are not stated in the ordinance.
If there are reasonable conditions with substantial evidence provided, that can be part of the record.
And a perfect example of that is following the noise ordinance, which my client has said he will do. That can be a condition. He'll follow the noise ordinance. He'll follow all the ordinances.
I'll be here.
I don't want to muddy the waters.
But you're not.
But do we need to, with the statement that was made, that Ben made some kind of approval, do we need to verify that either way before we can even move forward or something?
I don't know that changes what's been
Because
presented.
if he did somehow, if they do find some kind of email that says he did say they could go ahead and operate out of there with whatever conditions, or vice versa, we don't really, that's what's being brought to us, saying, no, he.
No, we're just addressing a conditional use.
Okay, all right, I was just wondering.
We have nothing to do with his
Previous,
occupancy permit or.
okay.
I don't really think that Ben would have the authority in the commission to make that situation off this body.
Yeah, sometimes you guys say, oh,
And-
okay, but listen to Bridget and Ben afterwards,
Yeah.
and then we can give them the final go-ahead, but that's
Yeah.
after you say,
Mhm.
okay, as long as you listen to Bridget.
Still has to be approved by
Correct.
the body first.
Yes.
Yeah, we've never recommended approval by the board.
Regardless of what Ben
Right, that's what I was
slowly
wondering.
told them, it needed to come through here first.
Right, and then the board.
So if Ben did give him permission or didn't give him permission, what really difference is that
I don't
going to
think
make
it
for
makes,
tonight?
it doesn't.
None.
None. So I mean, a lot of this stuff is just a moot point, and we're just beating this thing to death.
Well, I mean, it's hard.
I understand. I
We're just gonna
agree.
make- we're
I
gonna
agree
make-
100%. We want to get, do the right thing here, but we're going wrong and wrong with certain things that don't matter.
In my opinion, the two biggest issues here are the hours that the trucks are idling, and two is the noise. And if the noise ordinance says that you can't produce a noise above the 72 outside your premises, then if they're violating that, that's an ordinance enforcement issue, not a CUG issue.
I agree.
The hours of operation, I do think is a concern with trucks idling in the winter, being that it's, outside what's considered normal business hours for the I-1 district. I think that should be adjusted as a condition. Basically the 24-hour permission, I don't think is something that, the neighbors, should have to deal with if that's not under the zoning code as a permitted hours.
Is there anything, Andy, that you're willing to compromise on as far as hours? Or is it not, is that not?
Well, I mean, I'll compromise to an extent. I mean, the 24 hours, we throw that in there because coming and going. And we took that out of there when we did this last application. We changed the hours to from 4 a.m. to 1 a.m. and then Saturday from 4 a.m. to 12 a.m. I mean, we took the 24 hours out of it with the exemption of an emergency call of unusual business hours. In the winter, half my company, we do paving and asphalt, so my company is cut in half with staff, so trucks I shouldn't have many trucks outside idling. The size of my facility, the whole point of this was to keep everything inside. The trucks that are going to be running, I'm not going to say every single one of them, but most of them all will be parked inside. So I'm trying to eliminate time of idle, because one, it's expensive, and two, I don't obviously want to make noise if I don't have to. I have block heaters plugged in, so the trucks aren't starting instant cold and going. I mean, all my trucks, we've been for the last 2 months, and I wanted some of my employees to come, but they're not village residents. I wanted them to tell you guys how strict I am on these guys about quietness, like no impacts after 7 o'clock. Like, you guys respect the neighborhood, do as much as you possibly can. And these guys, I tell them religiously, and they know that. And like I said, I'm just trying to do everything to kind of make this quiet as best I can. I mean, I understand trucking is a nuisance. It always is, no matter what area you go to. But it's a passion of mine. It's something that this community was always had. I mean, Big Ben's a trucking community for a long, long, long time. And that's, kind of why I wanted to have roots here. I've always thought it was all right, to an extent. So, I mean, I'm not trying to run, like I said, I'm not trying to run 24 hours with the exception of the outside normal business hours, the 4 a.m. to 1 a.m. And I don't know what else to, I compromised, took a lot of hours out of there.
Do we need to address anything in the conditional use grant about noise, or does that just fall back on the village ordinance?
I would ask to add item H that just to reference the, I think it's 16.24F is what I looked up in the ordinance, that at least there's a reference that is the agreed upon noise level.
That we have a number.
Yeah, I think it was
72 was the high.
Yeah, 72 decibels at the lowest frequency. So
yeah, 0 to
75 hertz. And it was 16.24 performance standards, item F, noise. Number 1.
You got that?
Yep.
Thanks.
We'll add, it'll be conditioned.
15.
That's what you was read earlier too, right? The verbiage
Yes.
around that?
Yep. Yeah, I was the same one that you referenced there.
Just wanted to make sure.
It's not necessarily a new condition, it's just referencing it.
The only thing, like when I had the guy come out to demonstrate all these sound decibel meters, was the night that one of the other repair businesses was operating and they're backing up, and obviously my noise reader is picking up that. My only question is, how do I differentiate whose noise is who? You know, that's my only question. I just want to be open with that because these things do pick up everything. And,
I
you know, and I just want there to be, you know, if there's an occasional spike on there or something that it's not, I don't want the gun pointed at me, you know.
I think that would become an issue on the enforcement side, having the correct evidence to enforce the ordinance.
Okay.
If there was going to be a penalty assessed. I understand where you're coming from, that there are other trucks. Amazon has backup alarms on every one of their vans, and I understand your point. It's just, this addresses it to the neighbors that you are going to have to comply with whatever the ordinance has in it as far as noise and sound.
I think that's fair.
Remember, noise is not a cumulative effect. Noise A plus noise B doesn't equal noise C. The loudest noise overrides. That's how noise works.
His argument is, was it his noise or the other property's noise? It's a valid argument, so again, as he was saying, like, they would have to come down to evidence supporting it was your noise that caused it.
But if it's a continuous, I guess my feeling is, if there's a continuous complaint of noise and somebody's going to investigate that noise, then it would be, you have readings, they have readings, and you hash out whose readings are right, who or what property is causing the noise. And that's what I think would be fair to the residents, that they don't have, you know, conversation is 60 decibels. You know, a loud conversation is 60 decibels, while a jackhammer is 120 decibels. And that's I guess where it comes from, is that just the amplification of the sound.
I think someplace along the line it's missing that this property is up against a residential neighborhood. Like it or not, those two have been coinciding for many, many years. There has not been noise like this at that property ever. Not in the 32 years I've been there. If you're not going to make any concession to the fact that there's neighbors next door that are living in houses, then what's the point?
I understand.
And if we're not going to do that, like I said,
I got a question. Maybe this is stupid. Has there been any complaints prior to my new application, even though I've been operating on the north parcel until I bought this south parcel? Does anybody know if there's been any complaints? I'm being serious. Is there any complaints to the north parcel?
I had a couple back when I was village president.
Along in the very beginning, but
Yeah.
it came from one resident that kept calling.
complaint's a complaint. Whether
Well,
it calls
but it wasn't a legitimate complaint, and that's what they figured out at the time.
It was a legitimate complaint to the resident, and you know, I have to field those, or you know, whoever they call has to field those and take them under consideration and find out if they're working within their hours of operation and all of that. And if you're not violating, you know, your site plan of operations.
And at that time, we were within compliance.
Right, and our hands were tied. We couldn't, you know, you were allowed to do what you were doing.
So my point is, everything prior to this meeting, before this building, I've been doing the same thing to the property to the north, been operating, doing the same exact thing. And now I have a property to the south that I just want to occupy by myself, and now everything's in uproar. And I guess that's why I'm.
That's exactly what I said earlier.
And that's why I'm like so upset.
You can still go back to the north and continue.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is now all of a sudden the properties are still there. We're still adjacing the residential properties at the north parcel or the south, but now it's a problem.
The north parcel has no home within 150 feet of the lot line. The north parcel there, plus the fact that between the north parcel and the lot line, all there is the driveway, and a big building is on the other side. Every lot that's on the north, along the north line is probably 150, the buildings are probably 150 feet away from the lot line, not 50.
I'm a quarter mile away. I can still hear
There you go.
You know, it's.
Yeah, I get. I would say.
I mean, I can hear the beeper on the DPW front end loader when he backs up at my house.
So is that what we're going to talk about?
You know, I'm just saying, noise travels, and you know, I get it.
No, winter it's worse than summer because you don't have the trees.
You know, if we decide to not approve this Andy can go back to the north lot and just keep doing business there and have 30 trucks coming in and out of that tiny lot and making noise even longer, you know, and more, because he's gonna need more guys to work out of a smaller area.
He doesn't have a wash bay on the north side.
Warren, I have one more
Yeah,
question.
see, that's a problem too.
One more question for the applicant. As far as your extended hours, the activities that you want to do before I-1 is 7 p.m., the 5 a.m. is the restriction. What activities are you looking to do outside those I-1 permitted hours?
Mostly would be just leaving and the occasional pulling a truck inside the building to do maintenance on our own trucks would be the work inside them hours or outside them hours.
I guess my point is, as like a concession, would you accept a condition that any work other than moving trucks in and out of the property or in and out of the building on the property, any other activity that would make noise, would you accept that as a restriction outside of that 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. or the 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. restriction?
I guess I'm not really, because that's the only noise we make is the trucks coming and going. You know, that's the only noise that we're not.
Right, so
actually,
you're not washing a truck at 10 o'clock at night.
No.
You're on the floor.
No.
I guess that's what my thing is. If
this-
you would accept a restriction or a condition that says, other than, you know, we have to accept the backup line, other than moving trucks on the property, then, you know, no other activity that could make noise.
Yeah, as long as I can move the trucks on the property, facilitate maintenance, and you know, move around or leave as I need to. That's all the noise that we'd be doing there.
You said all the maintenance is done inside?
Everything. That's why this facility is awesome, because I can park everything inside. I can pull a tractor trailer in. My other facility, I used to have to work outside, impacts, all kinds of noise outside. This, I contain everything inside.
And you do have the overhead doors closed between 11 and 6.
Correct.
So it would be,
I would add a condition to the hours of operation that the only permitted outdoor operations after the 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. would be just for the moving of equipment and trucks.
That's fine.
and all maintenance has to occur inside.
Correct.
You get that?
I'm okay with that. I think that's a good start to try to find some kind of compromise.
Because I think we're covering the biggest concern of the issues, the noise of being too loud, and then the noise of the trucks idling and or sitting there for an hour type of thing. And I understand your point, block heaters and keep your idle times to a minimum. And if you're within your,
I mean, we've even had it where we've been parking trucks on the north parcel. If they have to leave, trying to park them as far away as possible. I mean, we are undergoing everything we possibly can, but I just trying to do what we can to occupy, keep everybody happy.
I would say that the business owner is acting in good faith. He's an upstanding member of the community.
So am I.
I understand. I would say that with the conditions that were added to include the hours and the noise, I would make a motion to approve the permits. With the changes that we just added, yes.
Changes and restrictions and
Correct.
recommendations from the engineer and planner.
Yes, sir.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Can I grab that? Thank you, everybody.
Moving along.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, item A, review, discussion, and possible action of site plan of operations for Remix Cyber Solutions. General office usage of light manufacturing space out of an existing industrial building at West 224 South 8460 Industrial Drive. Charles Everett, applicant, tax key BBV 2068044. Owner, Minor Investments LLC, Dan Minor. property is zoned I-1 light industrial.
Okay, applicant is looking to move into a existing leaseable unit in an industrial building. They do, by appointment only office space, so they don't anticipate about 1 or 2 people on site during their hours of operation. They haven't listed their hours of operation as relatively broad with 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. And it is because it is kind of one consultation when they do have someone on the site. Most of their work is obviously done off-site, otherwise outside of that. Pretty straightforward plan of operation request. Makes a lot of sense given the unit it's going in. Should have minimal impact on that area. Again, only the one full-time employee will be the operator of the business.
No, I've got nothing. It all was fine on mine. And Ben took over for the parking, which is the only thing I was really reviewing on these. He said he didn't want my one sentence memos anymore.
Fair enough.
If you guys did have any questions, I took the gentleman's phone number. We can call him.
Okay.
I was wondering if that was the party that left.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's diabetic and was taking, so.
Oh.
Good. Yeah, this one looked pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I agree.
Be good fit.
I'll make a motion to approve this one based on the recommendations from planner and engineer.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4B, review, discussion, and possible action of sign request for Ideal Windows at West 231, South 7680 Big Bend Drive. Ideal Core Holdings applicant, passkey BBV 2060999. Owner, Reston Recall Investments LLC. Property is zoned as B4, Highway Business District.
Thank you. Applicant is requesting a new 4x9, 36 square foot, 8 foot tall sign. As you can see on the aerial in your staff report, there was a prior sign that was basically across the property line. Newly proposed sign is proposed to be at 10.5 feet behind the property line, so kind of an improvement over what had been there previously. Fully code compliant, makes a lot of sense given the area. And again, is an improvement over what was previously there. Planner did note just a couple of things to consider related to landscaping. I did not see if a landscape plan was provided around the code, but Planning Commission could and can consider if they want any plantings around that sign. And the applicant, I don't know if you're going to kind of speak to that if they do plan on putting any around it. And they give that as a lit sign. Is there anything that they would be concerned with the lighting, and would a potentially 11 p.m. typical cutoff time make sense for it, just given that trying to reduce some of that light trespassing?
I do have one question on the, and this is something that in the industry I work in, there's a lot of people that complain about the light intensity or the auto brightness adjustment. There is no quantity as far as how dim or how bright this is. Our own village sign at night when they're using the lights is extremely bright to people, especially since across the street there's residences that have their backyards. And in the summer the tree line is there, but in the winter there's nothing blocking that.
I don't think there's a resident with an eye shot at this sign being proposed.
Isn't there on the other side of Big Bend Drive? Their backyard space. Big Bend Drive.
Okay, this is the same 3,000 Kelvin, that's a soft light.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is it's saying the color, but it's not saying the brightness level. And I was just thinking to put something as far as the brightness level. If there's still here, limit is 20 feet. That would make it so that whoever does the programming for the sign understands that the auto brightness has to be calibrated.
Can we leave that to the building inspector to?
I don't think there's anything in the ordinance as far as that. So it just says that's
Yeah.
So that's what the argument is with the sign, because the programming the signs is they let the property owner have free reign on what to put on the sign, and they just crank it up.
Yeah, the only condition that we had originally had in there was that condition number 3, the internal illumination with a light temperature of 3 K or equivalent.
Right, and that's
We're
just,
trying to get to a similar space UI.
yeah, that's a color, which is, you don't have the bright blues and the bright whites. It's just that, to put
actual light.
At night, these signs do not need to be bright at all. You can see them for quite a distance at 10 lumens. So it's the the bright flashy sign that's going to be that distracting or that.
Yeah, if you're signing, we can add right into that condition.
I just think to put it in the condition that we put a light level there that's measured 20-foot candles at 20 feet or 30-foot candles at 20 feet, just so that if somebody does complain, we have something written in there.
Gives you a little more enforcement ability if it's necessary.
Good point, Tom. I don't have any other objections.
Anybody else?
The people who wanted to develop the sports complex.
I did.
Meeting today.
I did. Is he here?
They're all here.
Okay.
But I also talked to Will Hyman, our new engineer.
Mhm.
He said that he'll be here at the meeting on November 6th for the board meeting, and that
Okay.
he'd be willing to meet with them before then,
Okay.
before the meeting. So, do you want to talk to them tonight, or do you want to wait? They said they could come at 5:30 on the 6th. Sorry.
No, it's fine. 'Cause
I was wondering if they were here.
We were
Yeah,
running
we've
late.
been waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just looking at council. Yeah, I'd say that's fine. Let's do a consultative session beforehand.
5:30?
Yeah.
Okay, on November 6th?
Here?
Yes.
Billy? Yeah. Do you know about that or
No,
no?
I'm sure we should.
Don't.
Let's focus.
Yeah. Okay.
Not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Right, thank
It's
you.
not.
It's a off the side conversation.
Yes.
Any more discussion or questions on?
No.
I'm good with this. I'll make a motion to approve with the amended number 3 from the staff recommendation.
So what, I guess, just so I get it
We
right.
rattled off the numbers, maybe.
Yeah, I would say 30-foot candles at 20 feet would be at night with no other street.
Okay. So we'll do 30-foot candle at 20 feet between 11 p.m. and sunrise.
Yeah.
I'll word that up
The
together.
rest of the verbiage in there is good.
Dusk to dawn or
Yeah.
dawn to dusk, however you want to
Yeah.
put your word on there.
I'll second the motion.
Just want to make sure I had it right.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4C, review, discussion, and possible recommendation on preliminary plat for Bordeaux Fields for a proposed new residential subdivision resulting in 16 lots plus 2 outlots, at least 26,000 square feet in size each. This property is located on the north side of Henneberry Avenue, approximately 500 feet west of Oak Range. On currently vacant property, tax key BBV 211-299-8004, owner of Castleview LLC. Lot size is approximately 13.1 acres, and the property is zoned R3, single-family residential.
I don't think we have time for this one.
Right, Tommy, I'm a survey guy here.
It's past 9:10, gonna have to cancel out.
Yeah, I did.
My bedtime.
Oh,
So, applicant is coming forward. This property was previously subdivided, never then fully developed. They're looking to now kind of redo that subdivision with a new preliminary plat. Again, this is only preliminary plat, so I have to come back through that process. Looking to create 16 single-family lots with 2 outlots. New access point provided. The lots are on the R3 district. As proposed, they meet the standard ordinance requirements, 20,000 square foot lots, 120 feet of lot frontage. Really, it's just kind of replatting this over what was previous done, no longer a through street. They are expecting or asking for a subdivision variance as it relates to cul-de-sac length. The proposed cul-de-sac is longer than the village requirement. Now I can't find in my report what it is.
800 feet. Now it's 1,200.
Yeah, 1,200. And in reviewing this and looking, 1,200 and 1,500 are frequently what we see in a lot of community ordinances for cul-de-sac length. The village does have a little shorter maximum cul-de-sac length than a lot of ordinances we see around the communities. So 1,200 is not necessarily out of the norm. I know it's better than the ordinance here, but just to give some perspective to kind of the area, I'm sure you can speak to that. You probably see other communities that have longer.
And that's came up before in prior consultative sessions with planning, so we've already talked through that kind of issue.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, otherwise, largely, from our perspective, we have some comments in here for you. Like the engineer does as well, but largely, I think it makes a lot of sense just given the area and given some of the cross-jurisdictional issues you get into with the prior road heading to the east, going into the village of Vernon. Probably makes sense for this to be a standalone subdivision with a cul-de-sac.
I've got two.
Please.
I got two little ones all about wetlands. The final plat just needs to have the date of the wetland delineation on there. I know it's recent. I've got a grossly long report. And also, we talked about putting it in an easement or, well, first I suggested shortening the lots, but that means that you get to sell less land. So then I was like, how about an easement that shows the setback from the wetlands? Because we've had, in the village, we've had people fill in wetlands before, and that's illegal. And I want to prevent people from saying that. So an easement with including the 10-foot setback from the delineated report. If we put that on the final, I'm more than fine with that. Just want to make sure that's a condition for me approving this.
Yeah, we show the wetland setback in the plat. We
Okay.
just don't have it as it's easement.
Like a conservancy easement or something?
Yeah, because the setback is good and important, but to show that it's easier to dock them for building on an easement than it is to dock them for building on a setback and the village standpoint. The DNR could come out and do it, but I would love for future engineers to be able to handle that in-house.
We frequently see them as like conservancy easement areas, just to cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and you guys said it was cool. I just assumed that you were going to get it on the final plat, so I just put it in the comments. That was from our meeting since the last plan commission. That's all I got. Looks great. Leo Lane.
Yes, so that's been, I'd like to call it Leo Lane. Is there anything I need to do for that?
No, you just register the addresses with the county because they are the presiding address. Sometimes it's different everywhere, but for us it's the county. And I don't know about changing addresses. Like for the folks that already live there, they must have Henneberry addresses. So if they have Henneberry addresses, is there a way, in order for Bill's here, in order for clarifying for EMS,
Yes.
can we change the addresses to ask them to be Leo Lane now?
Because they will be off
Yeah,
the road.
we did that up in Guthrie Estates. There was
That's
a
what
road
they did on my
dedication.
street.
Yeah.
Change the name.
Yeah, we changed the name.
That might have to be a part of your conversation with the existing residents.
Sorry, I jumped ahead of you.
And I think it's just for safety's sake.
But it's a good point because there needs to be a communication to those guys.
I already talked to everyone, the neighbors, told them that I will be quickly deeding them all property because we are moving the road further to the east, so they're getting 0.3, 0.18, 0.19, and 0.04 acres. And I've talked to each one of the property owners about that, talked to my attorney about that for a quick claim deeding it to them.
And I saw your sliver for the shed.
Yes.
So that's good. There's one existing resident who built off of their property, and Dan is giving them that so they don't have to tear it down.
0.3 acres for that one.
0.3 for a
No, not just the shed. The shed sliver and moving the road.
Yeah. I was like, that's a big shed. I did not see that.
Barnuminium.
Plus the 2 outlots, I'm giving away 1.84 acres.
Yeah.
In here I did see curb and gutter and sidewalks. Ripplebrook does not have any of that.
That is a consideration for the plan commission. I don't want to put a sidewalk to nowhere. I mean, if I were making a recommendation to all of you right now, sidewalk to nowhere doesn't help anybody.
I would say it's okay to strike that.
Yeah.
So my planner hat says if you never put the first one in, how do you get the next one? But I still agree with you.
No, nowhere, I don't think.
That's I just put the little planner hat on.
I mean, I could see curb as far as maintaining the asphalt, but that's a preference, not a requirement. As long as you do shoulder maintenance on the road, you should be fine.
I think that was asked for. We would like to see developments in the future, but that is also from our previous DPW.
Yeah, no, we have not. The
So
last
that's-
couple of subdivisions I've been involved with on planning, we've never required that. So.
Okay. So let's nix it.
Yeah, I would straight that.
I mean, we want it eventually a pedestrian safe place for our residents, right? But it's a sidewalk to nowhere isn't. a great
Especially in
place
the
to start
cul-de-sac
that.
with.
Yeah, there's where would
16
they go?
lots.
Okay, let's not worry about it then.
Thank you.
So just the sidewalk portion of that.
Curb and gutter.
Or the curb and gutter as well. The sidewalk and curb and gutter.
I like curb and gutter, but we have to have some reason why we're doing it here and not there. Would be my recommendation to the
I
planning.
mean, I understand the DOT's, the previous DPW preferring it.
It protects the edge of your road.
It helps the edge of the road and shoulder maintenance, because you don't have to do shoulder maintenance.
Oh.
What is the shoulder, 2 feet or 3 feet?
I don't know off the top of my head. Sorry.
I'll look further into that one. I did have a realtor sign made up 4 foot by 8 foot, not illuminated. I'm not worried about that. Is that something I can put up? Well, a map of this with my contact information. Literally this map with my contact information and says Bordeaux Fields above it.
Yep. Typical subdivision.
Yes.
Sale sign.
Yep.
Get it, go through all the way through the board first, and then maybe don't do it until. Doesn't this go to the board next to approve the preliminary plat?
In 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, maybe don't put it up in case someone on there has a problem. I don't.
Literally the preliminary plat of Bordeaux Fields.
Hey man, I love it.
My name and number.
I don't give approval, so I give recommendations.
Okay.
Admit it, you guys are gonna miss my sass a little bit.
So wait until after November 6th.
That's what I would do if I were you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even more versus her. I would wait till Waukesha County approves the preliminary plat as well, or at least gives you review comments, but.
Which is when?
Have you submitted it to?
So DOA submittal.
Yeah, the
is going to happen after this gets approved.
Yeah. You're fine to probably do it without, but like I said, you always take a little bit of additional risk if you don't have the DOA approval.
Because even listing the properties, it takes 2 months to close on property. So
I get you.
Planning on not having anything closed until January, but I'll get some approval there. I also plan to not list lot 1 and lot 2 until after the road is at least gravel based, because otherwise it locks off those 4 properties from Penberry.
Makes sense.
Thank you. And then there's a stipulation of $2,000 per lot to go towards.
For purposes of parkland creation and we're dedicating parkland as part of the subdivision.
It's actually great.
No, that's considered different.
Parkland dedication.
I had a question on that as far as who put that in there. Was that engineer or planner?
I would say planner because it was.
Attorney that came from?
No, it would have come from
There's no way that
Ben, and these were recommended because in the email it said that he was unable to get the attorney's comments before the
Not
next one.
completed.
So these
Notable
were
items.
recommended.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, and so the engineer comments that he has in there is not from me.
They're not your final comments.
No, I didn't say those things. I think Ben was trying to help me out, maybe. But
We
it's,
said notable items typically addressed. Yeah.
yeah, notable items typically addressed. So this is me. I thought that you were saying that I said curb, and I was like, oh my God, what? I must have carried that over from somewhere. Sorry.
So I don't have to pay $2,000 per lot.
I don't know what that is.
I gotta look at what this section 141107 is.
Addresses the need for $2,000 per lot created to get in to the village of Big Bend for purposes of parkland creation in lieu of dedicating parkland as a part of subdivision.
So if it is subdivision ordinance requirement, 1411. 1411.
Can I ask a question while he's pulling that up?
Mm-hmm.
How are your engineers doing? They working on a set of plans?
Me?
You're the surveyors and engineers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm Brandon. We met.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Brandon. I completely forgot.
That's all right.
How's your plan set coming? Do you know when you're thinking of submitting? It's a busy time, so no judgment here.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to get the preliminary plat for sure approved. But we're finalizing grading. I mean, obviously the lots are laid out.
Are
We
you
got
thinking we're trying to submit for, because I think the deadline passes for the November meeting before the October meeting. I mean, this is what's posted on the website, to submit details, or to submit plans to be reviewed for a certain meeting. You have to have them in by the date that's on the website. And the website says...
Without approval?
What's that?
Without the preliminary plat approval? Is that okay?
Like, I don't know what to do about that. Like, if you submit them, like, when do we want to say? Because we have to have adequate time to review. So we're saying that they can't submit next month?
Sorry,
Back to the other question, and I did build this.
You found that? So it starts in 141106. Correct. The amount of land to be provided. So there's a required, essentially, parkland dedication within the village ordinance, as determined by the board. It says the amount of land to be provided should be determined on the basis of the amount of land equal to and provided for the value of $2,000 per residential lot created in the division, the land. So essentially, if you're not dedicating land, which you are not dedicating any parkland, right?
I'm dedicating 2 outlots that are wetland and 2 parkland.
It's not parkland.
Sorry.
Yeah. So then the alternative is 141107. The village board may determine that such dedication is not feasible. So if the village board decides you don't want to give us parkland, we'll take a fee in lieu of, then it is $2,000 per lot. That is the fee in lieu of land dedication.
Do you know what the previous subdivision across the street did? Do they have a park?
I have no idea.
They don't have a park, I know that. I don't know about the specifics of their dedications. But the pond can't, no one can walk through the pond. It's not supposed to be for frolicking.
Repeat.
Dan, no.
Kids can't. All people can.
My kid literally today said he wanted to swim in my pond. Like, ooh, you don't want to, buddy.
It's really gross.
Yeah. Who do I talk to about that? To find out more about that.
About the parkland dedication. So I would do it at village board, because village board is the one that has to accept the fee in lieu of. So the village board, during their review of the preliminary plat, will have to accept and allow you to pay the fee instead of dedicating the appropriate amount of land. Like I said, the ordinance basically says you either dedicate land or the village board approves you to pay $2,000 per lot instead. And then it does say payment may be made in a lump sum or 50% paid at the time of plat approval, and the balance be paid within 1 year. Such deferred payments to be guaranteed by letters of credit, mortgage, or cash bonds. So basically, I would look at section 141107.
Yeah. Good. And on that too, cash bonds versus letter of credit, bank is saying and attorney is saying that whatever one that did costly would be better.
I've only operated with letters of credit. If the attorney gives his blessing to go otherwise, I'm fine with that. But Mike Schober said he wanted letter of credit too, right?
He said either.
He said either.
in his email.
Oh, okay, I must have misread that. If he said either, then I think that,
Pick path of least resistance there.
path of least resistance. One's more expensive, letter of credit costs you more?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm dealing with the banker on that. He just wants me to go through their insurance rep for it. And now I've actually gotten my numbers on both from the gravel guy and those doing the ponds, as well as the road company, Wolf Paving, initially. And they initially had their numbers for it at 1,600 foot length road, which is now going to be 1,200 foot length. Basically, all my numbers came down to $400,000 on what I was initially told the road itself was cost.
Wow. So what are you going to do with $400,000?
Go on, buy next Bordeaux Fields. Buying Bordeaux almost more land.
Yeah, and then whenever you have all those numbers compiled, you can just send to me, and I can make sure you didn't put in a penny per, ton of gravel. And then if I agree with that stuff, then
He told me he already budgeted out 90 truckloads for the road, 25 for extra, and like another 40 for the cul-de-sac.
You got a 22-foot pavement.
24 foot road.
24-foot road by 1,200. I'm gonna do some math. This isn't important to you guys.
90 truckloads, 16 for the bulb, and 20 extra. So
I would like to talk about their submission for next time.
I have no idea for by Tracy on your road plans.
Submission for their final plat or for?
I'm talking about their next step is going to be engineering plans, right?
Oh, I thought you meant the village forward.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So if the plan commission, elephant in the room, we're not going to be here much longer. So do we want me to review these plans?
Or do we want Will Hine?
Or do we want Will Hine to review these plans?
What's the timing on the contract change?
End of the year.
I'm not doing anything for the December 18th meeting.
Bailing.
I'm not going to be here for the December 18th meeting.
Then I would assume we should probably have Will Hine start with that.
And Will and I know each other very well, and I will continue to coordinate with him. I don't want to, leave you guys to sink or swim. But Will's a great guy. Will Hine is with Cedar Corps, and he was previously with ATI, who also worked with the village and is very familiar. And also, I talked to him, and he's familiar with your project. If you need any help with this transfer, I'm more than happy to, but you're going to be in great hands.
Sounds good. I'll send you his email.
He's a good guy.
Any more recommendations or questions? We're striking all instances of curb and gutter, sidewalk.
So I'll make a recommendation to move this to village board for approval of the preliminary plat.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Will this be on the November 6th meeting, or do I have to get president approval?
I would hope so. That's usually how it works. That's why we meet before them, so.
That's what I was wondering about.
Is there an application now we have to fill out for that?
For village board? I
No,
don't think
not
so.
for this next step.
We just pass it forward.
Yeah. It's a continuation of.
Yep. I think so.
And then once that is approved by them, which you said normally the board, if the commission approves it, they approve it. Will I then be able to list the sell plots?
I don't know
I
about
think
that.
you still need county approval.
Talking to my attorney, he said that provided it was platted off, and they had said that they're not going to be changing the plat.
Once the county approves this, yes,
The county's got to approve the plat in department.
I think his point is that you can start advertising the lots. You obviously wouldn't close that quick, so that you would have time to wait for the county official response.
Trying to generate interest.
Yeah, so
I just wondering, is there anything in this code for subdivisions, signs?
There's
No.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sign just to see if, because you had said.
Not for that. The clerk and I looked extensively at that before. I actually dug that, because I placed it Mark Meslap, 33 feet from Henbury, 33 feet from center line of Leo Lane, and then pushed it back a couple feet from that. There was no ordinance. There was a 2010 ordinance. There was no current ordinance for signage for residential use. There was some on industrial, some restricting the square footage to 16-foot square foot, which my permanent sign I'm having made is 3 foot by 5 foot oval metal that says Bordeaux Fields. It'll hang from my permanently erected 4x4 post, but this is just a temporary 4 foot by 8 foot realtor selling sign that's literally the plat.
Just double checking for you.
There's a word, temporary.
It's like a corrugated plastic.
Temporary. I think we'll finish it.
Temporary, I like it. Sellable.
Event signing.
Yeah. Some of the verbiage said 30-day max, and I was out and we looked into it. And we also talked to Jason, and he didn't have any, he didn't need to go out to watch me digging the holes or anything. He didn't care.
Did you call diggers?
I gotta interrupt
It's
here.
farmland. There's nothing there yet.
We have a motion and a second on the floor still.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And I abstain. Motion carries.
5-0. You said you abstained.
I abstain.
Oh, you abstained.
Dan does.
Hey, you can't vote on this one.
No.
5-0 or no vote.
I was gonna say, I hope we're keeping track of at least now part of the vote, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah, so he didn't vote on
The last three.
Didn't vote on
any of them.
The last three after.
So this
Well,
one,
all
1,
of
2, so.
He voted on the first one, didn't he?
No,
that
one
was
is,
that was
5, so 5-0 has been the vote on every, no, 1, 2, 5 on this one, 6-0 on the other ones.
Correct.
Right.
Jamie doesn't get a vote.
Because Dan voted.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, moving along, planners report.
I don't have one for you.
Awesome. Bill, fire inspector report.
Inspections are still going on yet, they'll probably go on until the complete of the year. And we had a tractor and truck pull, which was very successful.
Awesome.
So that was good. Just glad to have, we got our last event now for the year. So we won't hear nothing, anything more.
Till we get to the fish fry, right?
Fish fry in the spring, yes. We have that set up already.
Awesome.
Okay, that's all I got. Anybody got any questions for me? Any complaints?
Just
If you do
appreciate
have
that
any
you spend your
complaints,
night with us
whatever.
all the time.
The what?
I just appreciate that you spend your night with us all the time.
Well,
You're sleeping the whole time.
Oh, come on. See, why does he not call you out like that? I was letting you nap.
All right, we got no building inspector's report, I'm assuming. Engineer's report.
Short and sweet. I don't have too much. I'm working on a few things. There's some houses. Most of the things I've been directing towards Will. If it's long term, I don't want to start something and then have Will try to figure out where I was or what I was doing. And also, as a quick note, I enjoyed working with all of you. And if you need help finding anything for my files that I send over, please let me know. I will not just hang up on you. No hard feelings.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I will be here next month. I will not be here for the December meeting. If there's anything important that we need to carry over, I can have someone come for me, but I am not available that night.
Excellent.
That's right with you too.
Yeah, it's been great. Been fun and had a lot of good memories.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to make a motion
I'll make that motion.
to adjourn?
I will second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This is a list of the speakers from tonight.
This is the copy, right?
So I don't know.
That'll be the original. I want to make sure it's not the original. She's going to need the original.
He might still be here to make a copy. It's got trouble.
Hey, Billy Boy.
All right? Yeah.
How you doing?
good.
I'm glad, but all I need is the public stuff. So
Always
that's
gotta be
anything
good.
you need building laws, anything you need building. That's it. So I'll.
I talked to the guy
Yeah, I'll
today.
take the.
He'll get you those cards. So this thing should be up and running
And, we should be.
Monday
of next week.
Yeah, so I'll have it.
Right.
I think he's gonna
Get some more
get
names.
the cards to me tomorrow,
Okay.
because we're gonna try it out over the weekend, make sure there's no
I
glitches.
want to try it out.
Yeah, so.
And then you, we'll give you what you need. How many you need?
Yeah, I think that you need to have like
I'm
well,
sure.
yeah, there's a lot of people here that like, man, what's
I could read this one, it's crazy.
they want to go, they're right on the corner.
I totally understand. Did anyone hear that, like,
That's the one
for
that
the
is
trip?
factor.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
Okay.
Then they'll 66. I didn't think, I gotta get them one too.
That's why I'm
That's why it's like,
Yeah.
we can have a consultative.
keep you guys in line. Even though Renner doesn't think I can do anything.
I wasn't sure why he told me, I'm not in charge.
Yeah, I heard.
What's that?
Mike leaned over and said, you don't, I said I took his class, I said, I don't need it, I quit.
Whoa.
I just wanted you guys to know.
25 years on planning commission?
Yeah.
Maybe he'll adjust his attitude, maybe change his mind.
Speaking of which, somebody called.
Oh.
What do I mean?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you can call one here.
I looked at it for a hot second.
What do you,
Not every day you get one of our offices to make it for you.
It's a good price, Nick, huh?